Zeus glared at him.
You dare to choose?
No more unclaimed demigods, Percy said. That is my wish. I want you all to claim your children, and must claim each and every one of them no later than their 13th birthdays. They won't be left out in the world at the mercy of monsters. I want them claimed and brought to camp so they can be trained right and survive. And the minor gods, Nemesis, Hecate, Iris, Morpheus, Janus, Hebe, they all deserve a general amnesty and a place at Camp Half-Blood. And their children shouldn't be ignored either. Also, Calypso and all the other kind and peaceful titans should be pardoned too. And Hades?
Are you suggesting I'm less important than some minor god?
Hades roared. No, my lord, Percy said quickly. What I was about to say was that your children shouldn't be ignored either. They should have a cabin at camp, and Nico is living proof of that. No more unclaimed demigods will be crammed in the Hermes cabin anymore. They won't have to spend years wondering who their parents are. There should be cabins for children of all the gods. And the big three shouldn't try to force themselves to avoid having any further children. We all know that idea didn't work. There's living proof all around us. You've got to stop trying to get rid of powerful heroes just because of what you fear that they might do later. We're going to train them and accept them instead. All the children of the gods will be welcomed and treated with respect. That is my wish. Zeus snorted.
Is that all?
Percy, Poseidon said.
You asked for much, son. You presume much.
I hold you to your oath, Percy said. All of you. He received a few steely looks. Then Athena was the first to speak up. The boy is correct, she said. We have been unwise to ignore our children. It proved the strategic weakness in this war and nearly caused our destruction. Percy Jackson, I have had my doubts about you, but perhaps... She glanced at Annabeth, then she spoke as if the words had a sour taste. Perhaps I was mistaken. I vote that we accept the boy's plan.
Zeus said, being told what to do by a mere child. But I suppose... All in favor? Hermes said.
Percy swore he was going to get outnumbered, but to his surprise, all 12 Olympians raised their hands. Thank you, he said.
On a guard,
Poseidon shouted. Then Tyson and his cousins made an aisle for Percy to walk through.
All hail Perseus Jackson,
Tyson said.
Hero of Olympus, and my big brother.
Percy walked out proudly with his friends right behind him, and for once, he left the Olympian Council without feeling edgy. They were on their way down the steps to the elevator when Percy spotted Hermes in a side courtyard of the palace. He told Annabeth he would catch up, and went to check on him. He was staring at an iris message in the midst of a fountain. The message showed various images of mortals' reactions to the aftermath of the Titan War. Scenes of news reporters making their reports, the president doing a news conference, even some images of civilians helping out one another, and some of them were even receiving some thank yous. But no one seemed to mention anything about Typhon or the Olympians, or even the monsters attacking, which was a relief.
A city's worth of comas in New York? Give me a break,
said one civilian. Over 3,000 years, Hermes said, and I'll never get over the amazing power of the mist. Absolutely amazing. Look at him. They already decided that Typhon was just a freak series of storms. Don't I wish. Although, there's going to be a lot of confusion for a while, especially in New York. You think it'll ever be the way it was again? Percy asked. I mean, before the battle? Oh, I'm sure it shouldn't be more than a few weeks, Hermes said. It is New York after all, and as the messenger of the gods, I should be able to help out with that. I'll even make sense of what's happening without revealing the truth. Maybe convince them it was just a freak earthquake or a solar flare. Anything but the truth. Lord Hermes, Percy said, I owe you an apology.
And why is that, Percy? He asked.
I thought you were a bad dad, Percy said. I thought you abandoned Luke because you knew his future and didn't do anything to stop it.
Oh, I knew his future all right, Percy.
I mean, more than just the bad stuff. You knew he would make the right choice, that he'd save the day in the end. You knew all of that, but you couldn't tell him, am I right?
No one can tamper with fate, Percy. Not even a god,
Hermes said.
Even if I warned him, it would only make things worse. Staying silent and staying away from my son was probably the most difficult thing I could have ever done with any of my children.
You had to let him find his own path and play his part in saving the world, Percy said.
It didn't help me at all to be mad at Annabeth,
Hermes sighed.
I foresaw she would have a part to play in his fate when Luke visited her. I thought perhaps she could do what I couldn't and find a way to save him. And when she refused to go with him, I could barely contain my rage.
She did save him, you know, Percy said. Luke died a hero by sacrificing himself to kill Kronos.
Oh, I appreciate your words, Percy. But Kronos is not dead. You can't kill the Titan Lord.
What? But then...
I don't know, Hermes said. None of us do. Blown to dust, scattered to the wind. With luck, he spreads so thin that he won't be able to form a conscience again, much less a body. But don't mistake him for dead. You could separate him from his hosts, maybe even expel his spirit back to his prison, but you can't kill him.
That made Percy wonder about the other Titans, but Hermes said that they went in hiding. He also mentioned that Prometheus sent a message with a bunch of excuses for supporting Kronos and keeping his head low. Also that Oceana slipped back into the deep ocean when it was clear that Kronos had lost and Krios had fled and the Titan's palace on Mount Arthurus had crumbled into ruins.
Meanwhile, Hermes continued, my son died believing I didn't care about him. I could never forgive myself.
I remember you telling me a long time ago, Percy said, that the hardest thing about being a god was not being able to help your children. Also, that you can't give up on your family, no matter how tempting they make it. Luke loved you. At the end, you realized his fate. I think he realized why you couldn't help him. He remembered what was important.
Maybe, but it's still too late for him.
You still have other children, said Percy. You can honor Luke by recognizing them. All the gods can do that.
They will try, Percy. We'll all try to keep our promise, and maybe for a while, things will get better. But we gods haven't always been good at keeping oaths, as you might have noticed. We eventually become forgetful. We always do.
But you can change, said Percy. Hermes chuckled.
After 3,000 years, you think we gods can change our nature?
If you put your mind to it, said Percy, then yeah, I do. Hermes seemed surprised by that.
Do you think Luke actually loved me after all that happened?
I'm sure of it.
Hermes smiled and said, Percy Jackson, you just might teach us a thing or two.
Percy continued down the path to the elevator, only to run into Athena with that same serious gaze she always gave him. So, Percy Jackson, she said, you shall stay mortal. Yes, ma'am, he said. And I would know your reasons for choosing so. I want to be a regular guy, Percy answered. I want to grow up and, have a regular high school experience. I want to live a good, happy life like any mortal would want. And my daughter? Athena asked. I just couldn't leave her, he admitted, especially not after what happened earlier. Or Grover, he added quickly, or my brother, or my mom, or... Oh, spare me, the goddess said. The power in her voice was enough to make his skin itch. I once warned you, Percy Jackson, that to save a friend, you would destroy the world. Perhaps I was mistaken. You managed to save both your friends and the world. But think very carefully about how you proceed from here. I have given you the benefit of the doubt. Don't disappoint me." Just to prove her point, she erupted in a column of flame. As soon as they entered the lobby, they found Percy's mom arguing with the security guard who forbid her from taking the elevator to Olympus. "Oh God, it's Percy!" she cried. She hugged the breath right out of him. "Where have you been? We saw your signal, but that was hours ago." "I'm all right, Mom. Everything's all right." "Mr. Blofus," Annabeth said, "that was some wicked sword work back there."
"Well, it just seemed like the right thing to do," he said. "But is it true about the 600th floor that leads straight to Olympus?"
"Yeah," said Percy. "It's really up there."
"I'd really love to see that."
"Paul," Sally chided, "it's not for mortals. Anyway, the important thing is that we're all safe." Percy was about to relax. Everything felt perfect at that moment. He, Annabeth, his parents, and all his friends were safe. They did it. But the life of a demigod was never so easy. Just then, Nico ran in. He quickly told Percy that Rachel took blackjack and left. "What? How could she get blackjack to do what she wanted?" Percy asked. "Why would he listen to her?" "She said she was heading to the camp," Nico explained. "She said it was important." "I told her she can't, but she insisted. She's long gone." The streets were too messy to rely on a cab. All the other Pegasi fled, and the party ponies too. So Percy, Annabeth, and Nico headed to the water with a solution hatching in Percy's mind. "She can never get through the defenses," said Annabeth. "Peleus will eat her." "Hey, Peleus will eat her," she repeated. Percy whistled, and his old friend, Rainbow the extra-large hippocampi, appeared. "Hey, Rainbow," Percy said. "How's it going, buddy? Sorry that Tyson's not here, but we need your help." Rainbow managed to carry the trio to the shores of Camp Half-Blood in less than 10 minutes. When they got there, the campers were gathered in front of the big house as Rachel just stood there perfectly still and facing the front door.
"Don't blame me, boss,"
Blackjack pleaded when he saw Percy.
"The weird girl made me do it."
"What is she doing?" Annabeth demanded. "How did she even get past the barriers?"
"She just flew right in," one of the satyrs said. "Peleus didn't even do anything to stop her."
Percy tried to get closer.
"Percy, no, don't. No one must interfere,"
Chiron warned. "But I thought you never let anyone try again," Percy said. "That you—"
"I know," Chiron said, "but I was wrong. Rachel had a vision about the curse of Hades. She believes it may be lifted now. She convinced me she deserves a chance."
"And if the curse hasn't really lifted, what then? It could destroy her." "Percy," Rachel said without turning around, "it's okay." "You'll be corrupted," Percy warned. She turned and smiled. "This is where I belong, Percy," she said. "I finally understand why." She sounded too much like Luke's mom, which really scared Percy. Then the house filled with bright green light, and the front door opened. When the light died, someone stepped out. It was...
"The Oracle Mame!"
Rachel held out her arms, and she didn't even look scared. "You've waited too long," she said, "but I'm here now." The sun started shining a little brighter. They didn't notice until seconds later, Apollo appeared.